Hey, it's Josh again. Um, I've kind of got a another miscellaneous updates devlog. I've not done a whole lot of progress on Planar Robit in the past couple weeks because Factorio Space Age came out, and that became my life for a while. Probably still will be for a couple weeks. Um, but I suppose it'll show off the few of the things that I was able to make in the past few weeks, which is still not a whole lot, unfortunately. I'll start off by showing. So there's a couple overworld features that I added, so I'm gonna go ahead and load this up. So we added a new little guy, a goofy little dude, the Springo. I think he's pretty cute. He just kind of goes boing boing. I think that's adorable. There's nothing terribly unique about this guy. He just kind of bounces around. He's kind of fun, so I like him. There's also he doesn't trigger a battle when I touch him because I'm still working on that. Battle system's still very primitive. There's also overworld pickups now, so you can see that Abel is missing some health and that I have 250 credits. And yeah, so if I walk over here and collect these items, now Abel has 4 health. We have 281 credits. So there are health pickups in the game now, and health pickups will heal whoever in your party has the least health when it's picked up. And of course there's MP pickups, which will restore your batteries, and then there are credits, the little SD card, micro and mini SD card items on the ground, and that gives you money. There's also this magnetizable item. This is a pretty early feature. It certainly needs more work, but the idea is you use your magnet and you can draw in a magnetizable item. And so you can see that it has magnet particles on it because I don't want every item to be magnetizable because I think that would make a lot of puzzles too easy, and it would make it very hard for me to make effective puzzles. So only certain items will be magnetizable with that icon. If I rerun the game though, you will see a second cool feature provided by the magnet, or by the magnetic feature of Katie's EMP, because that's new now. She has the ability to magnetize things with her EMP. I don't think I said that directly. But you can see she can't collect the items from here, but with the EMP, she can collect items that are further away. Be it a core, that's gone forever by the way, or health pickup. Again, I still need to do work on the actual grabbable items. I need to reset their velocity somehow whenever they're no longer being magnetized, and I've not bothered to do that yet. Next up, if we go to the database page, you can go to the Rogi data page, and you can see that you can build your deck now. This is a little bit broken because I intentionally broke a lot of the slots, right? For example, you can't have Katie in this slot because this M means it's a midweight slot. But I intentionally broke it just for the sake of testing. But you can build your deck now. Ignore that. You're not supposed to be able to click on those. You can build your deck now, and so it doesn't let you put items in slots where they don't belong. So you can see that there's this L icon next to the capacitron. That means it's a lightweight and can only go in lightweight slots. And so, you can fill your deck with capacitrons like that, put Nico on the edges like that. You can build your set by scrolling through these things here. And there's this handy little preview that shows you all of the moves that can be made by that piece. Unfortunately, there's no distinction between a standard move and a special move. So that's just going to be found in the description of these pieces. For example, Mirror Mech, it says that this 2-tile, the second tile attacking ability, is only available on its first turn. Kind of like a reversed pawn. And promotions are a thing in Rogi now. I'm not going to be able to show that just because I don't want to play a full game of Rogi against the bot. But promotions are a thing. And you can see that there's already we're starting to get a more interesting variety of pieces. There's unique promotions as well. So for example, um, the Flare Mech up here, this piece promotes to Pyra, which has a pretty similar moveset to the Flare Mech, but it's omnidirectional. It's better all around, but its attacks are blockable, kind of a downgrade. Anyway, yeah, that's all the improvements I can show on the main game here. But if I open up one of the side game screens, if I can find it. So if I were to open the Rogi deck, or Rogi board, I mean, like that. So you can see, again, the deck is really messed up because I intentionally messed it up. But I made some improvements to the Rogi AI. It's going to be a lot more challenging now. Also, yeah, I think the Springo piece might be really strong. I actually, no, it's going to block that. Okay, I was going to say, like, maybe I can show off a promotion, but Rogi's obviously too smart to fall for a mistake like that. Um, You may notice that I claimed to make a lot of optimization changes, but it looks like Rogi's moving at the same speed. What gives? Well, I actually made a ton of optimizations, and now Rogi is searching with a depth of 4 instead of 3. For reference, a depth of 4 in a previous version of Rogi would take, um, in certain situations, multiple minutes to compute, or like not yeah, like a minute and a half to compute. And you can see that Rogi's thinking quite fast for a depth of 4. Um, each increase in depth should theoretically take 20 times longer to compute than the last, more or less. Um, so that means that it's about 20 times faster than it was before. It's a little bit more challenging. Um, I've changed around the weightings, so now Rogi likes pushing minor pieces towards the end because that, of course, gives it the big promotion bonus. Um, and it still likes putting pieces in the center, but I've made it a little bit more greedy so it cares about the pieces themselves more now instead of how it was before. Um, So I guess now is the part where you click off if you don't like nerd stuff, because I am going to discuss some of the optimization techniques that I use to make Rogi faster. Um, Firstly, we implemented alpha beta pruning. That's basically a kind of pruning that makes it so that we remember the best move for black and white earlier on in the move tree, and basically we if black finds a move that forces white into a worse position than one found in a previous subtree, then obviously white wouldn't allow that path to exist in the first place, so we can prune that subtree of the game tree entirely. Um, so basically, in layman's terms, um, we aren't going to be going down routes that are obviously bad, and it reduces the time needed to actually calculate a move uh, by I've lost the exact figure, but it's multiplicative. You know, it's at least twice as fast from that single improvement. Um, yeah, it's and a lot of people have a misconception with alpha beta pruning. They may look at that and believe that because it's checking less moves, it's less likely to find the best move, but that's actually not true. Alpha beta pruning does not draw any new assumptions on how the game tree is evaluated. All of the assumptions are made in the heuristic algorithm, and so if alpha beta pruning misses a good move, it misses it because the heuristic algorithm missed a good move. Because it follows a minimax algorithm with alpha beta pruning will always have the same outputs as a minimax algorithm without alpha beta pruning. So um, there's really nothing lost. The code's a little bit more complex, but aside from that, it's vastly faster. Next, we removed defending moves calculations. Um, the way that Rogi typically evaluates a board state, we found that through a good bit of testing, that defending moves are actually not a good indicator of how well you're doing. Like if all of your pieces are defending each other, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're winning. In fact, if you focus more on that than actually gaining material, then you're just losing at that point. So I completely removed defending moves from the evaluation heuristic, and that increased the processing speed. It doubled how quickly it could evaluate board states because um, to get all the defending moves, you basically have to run the function that gets all the attacking moves a second time. So removing that uh, cuts the amount of individual move evaluations in half. So that was very handy. Next, this one's kind of a niche, smaller optimization. It probably saved less than 10% speed, but it's still something worth noting. Um, Previously, the Rogi board was stored as a two-dimensional array of integers, and I think in Godot integers are 64-bit. Um, so I turned that 8 by 8 2D array of int64s into a 1 by 64 array of int32s, and so there's there's less memory dereferencing in that because it's not an array of arrays anymore; it's an array of numbers. Um, so there's better data locality. The values are closer to each other, which makes it ever so slightly faster. And also there's less data being passed between all functions because um, instead of sending an array of arrays and copying that every time, we're just sending a single array. So we're sending less than half the data between each evaluation step, so that makes it quite a bit faster. Um, Next up is memoization. That is not me mispronouncing memorization. Memoization is pretty handy. Basically, we have a dictionary that it remembers the heuristic score for every board state, and the it remembers the heuristic score of every board state, and it also remembers whether or not every board state has won or lost. And so, as it processes more board states, as it calculates more potential moves, it builds this dictionary of outcomes. And so, instead of recalculating the score of a board state every move, or instead of determining whether or not white or black has lost every move, it simply looks at that table and grabs the previously determined output. It's like it's like writing a memo, instead of, you know, calculating this really big math equation, you just write down what the math equation is and its answer. And if you ever get that complicated equation again, you just go back to that old answer. So you wouldn't expect, I mean, of course, this increases the speed by a massive, massive margin. It is incredibly, it's significantly faster. The obvious downside is the memory utilization. Um, Rogi will end up using probably half a gig by the end of a game. It uses a significant amount of memory. Nothing too extreme, of course, unless something really weird is happening, which does happen. There's this weird bug with Godot where a constant array is getting overwritten somehow. I don't know if it's like a memory overflow or whatever, but it's kind of concerning because none of my code can possibly allow that to happen. Anyway, that's memoization. That made things maybe twice as fast, probably more than twice as fast. wicked fast, especially in complicated middle games. Memoization makes the processing much faster, and so it helps because usually the mid game is where the AI is the slowest, but the mid game is also where the memoization table is most effective, so it kind of cancels out that speed debuff. And lastly, I just did a whole lot of micro optimizations, just like lots of little things here and there, lots of breaks and continues just to make the code faster. Um, but they're mostly micro optimizations. They probably didn't save even 10% on processing speed. You can see that like the function to get all of a piece's valid moves, it's it's pretty optimized. In fact, I'm not sure it's possible to make this code any more optimized than it already is. Um, I think this is all I can do. No, this is not all I can do. I can memorize this function too, can't I? I can memorize this too. Yeah, I can make this a lot faster, maybe, possibly. Um, but that's uh that's a problem for another day. So yeah, that's me rambling about a handful of like really minor features, frankly, um, and also some optimization tech to make Rogi faster. Oh, and one more cool thing. One more cool thing. Um, we're at 60 characters now. 60 unique NPCs. Can you believe it? That's 60 right there. 60 NPCs. The newest one, she's very adorable, is Mimi here. So yeah. Anyway, yeah, that's about it. So, see y'all later. Good night.